Hello. Have you ever heard of the term redlining in reference to housing? This topic is important to you all because it is one of many discriminatory practices against people of color that has since been made illegal but still affects communities today. While now legal, practices like redlining continue to have negative impacts on the Black community today. To illustrate this, we'll look at what the concept of redlining is, what caused it, and how it continues to have effects on these communities today. First and foremost, we will define the term redlining and delve into the history behind this racially discriminatory practice. So, what is redlining? The term redlining originates with actual red lines on maps that identified predominantly Black neighborhoods as hazardous. Starting in the 1930s, the government-sponsored Homeowners Loan Corporation and the Federal Home Loan Bank Board used these maps to deny lending and investment services to Black Americans. This comes from the source of the history of redlining from History.com, authored by Becky Little and published by A&E Television Networks, published on October 20th, 2020. Here you can see the red areas of what was the Los Angeles areas during this time frame. And the red areas is where African American communities could only live and did not own homes. So what caused redlining? After the Great Depression in the 1920s and early 1930s, the then current president of the United States, Franklin D. Roosevelt, or FDR, lended aid to white Americans to buy homes and cover mortgages in what was called the New Deal, or known as the National Housing Act of 1934, to help stimulate the economy. The Fair Housing Act of 1968 put an end to this practice. It took 34 years. Consequently, we will now discuss the affected communities and the rate of homeownership today. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, only 44.9% of the African American population own homes, while only being 13.3% of the entire United States population. This information comes from the U.S. Census Bureau and does not have an author, but it was published on January 31st, 2023 from the www.census.gov U.S. Census Bureau Quick Facts. Furthermore, the African American population is also the second highest race that lives in poverty in the United States. 19.5% live in poverty according to Statista.com. The author was unavailable, and it's published by the Statista Research Department, publicized on September 30th, 2022, through www.statista.com U.S. poverty rate by ethnicity in 2021. Demonstrating the racial population in the U.S., I have a pie chart that shows that Europeans are the majority, while African Americans are the minority, one of many. To conclude, while now illegal, practices like redlining continue to have negative impacts on the Black community today. The amount of African Americans who live in poverty and are currently not able to own homes, we see that practices like redlining have lasting impacts. In review, the main points of this speech define what redlining is, how it started, and how we explore the statistics of Black home ownership and poverty in the United States. This speech can be useful to people of all races, and that it will inform those in the majority of the U.S. population about how harmful practices like redlining, though now illegal, still have lasting consequences that affect the current minority generations. Thank you. Have a good day.